Your Excellencies, President of the General Assembly, Secretary General, honorable delegates, and my brothers and sisters, fellow community members. I stand before you as a woman from Asia Pacific, where women's highest risk for HIV infections is through marriage. For more than 25 years now, we have known how HIV is transmitted and can be prevented. But some governments still believe that they can protect their country from HIV by stopping non-nationals infected with HIV from entering their country. Attitudes and policies such as these will not contribute to reaching the goal of universal access. It will, however, contribute to increased stigma and discrimination of people living with HIV. Yet your countries have committed to the goal of universal access by 2010. So we are halfway there, and I ask, how strong do you hold that commitment? In my region, experts say there is a concentrated epidemic. By that, they mean HIV is contained within marginalized and vulnerable groups, such as drug users, sex workers, gay men, men who have sex with men, many of whom are married, transgenders, migrant workers, prisoners, and even refugees who are being infected with HIV at a higher rate. Yet, they are often denied or have limited access to HIV prevention, treatment, care, and support. I ask you, why? Are we not all human and deserving of the same rights and treatment? These communities are not only at a higher risk of HIV in Asia, it is the same everywhere. If you allow one group to become infected with HIV, you will never stop the epidemic. Isn't that the lesson we have learned? In fact, the epidemic is moving out of the concentrated groups into the general populations. Look at the increasing rates of infection among women, children, and youth. This is where you can see the effect of falsely belief that HIV will remain isolated among certain groups. These groups need services that are sensitive to their needs, supported by adequate finance and resources. Instead, many countries have criminalized behavior that push people underground and make them afraid to come forward to receive proper prevention and treatment. Ladies and gentlemen, as the Honorable UN Secretary General, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, recently noted, and I quote, "We must guard against legislation that blocks universal access by criminalizing the lifestyle of vulnerable groups. We have to find ways to reach out to sex workers, men who have sex with men, and drug users, ensuring that they have what they need to protect themselves." End quote. Here, communities, NGOs, and people living with HIV can complement and build upon your efforts. You cannot do it alone. We have to work hand in hand together. Here are some of the recommendations. Decriminalize behaviors associated with risk of HIV that are targeted to specific groups. Eliminate mandatory testing of migrant workers and travel restrictions of people living with HIV. Pass enabling laws that make it easier to get it right prevention methods to people who need them, especially clean needles for drug users and condoms to sex workers and their clients. Stop treating HIV as a separate issue. Link the UNGAS on HIV with the UNGAS on drugs. Integrate reproductive health, gender, and human rights into HIV prevention, and address co-infection of hepatitis C and TB with urgent prevention and treatment responses. make treatment affordable and easy to access for all, explore exercising the TRIPS flexibility, such as compulsory licenses for HIV, hepatitis C, TB, and other essential medicines. And let us, the community, sit at the table together with you to make decisions. Ladies and gentlemen, I am also a person living with HIV. And by revealing my HIV status publicly, I am taking the risk of being banned from entering this country and 70 other countries around the world. When I found out about my HIV status in 2006, it was thought in my country that only sex workers and drug users got infected. I am neither. But really, what does it matter how I got infected? As a woman living with HIV, I could be accused of bringing HIV into my home, beaten for something I didn't do, stripped of any inherent rights, and thrown out in the streets because of health condition. As a woman, I need my human rights respected, as well as rights to property and inheritance. I need protection against domestic and sexual violence. I need to be able to manage and control all matters related to my sexuality and reproductive health. As a person living with HIV, I need equal access to prevention, treatment, care, and support. And as a mother, I ask this not only for myself, but for my daughter and my future generations. In closing, I am committed to the working for the best possible life for people everywhere. While it is not my intention to embarrass anyone or point fingers, I do want to ask, what is more embarrassing and shameful than a tragedy that could have been prevented? We have the tools and knowledge. We need the will, but more than anything else, we need action. Keep your promise and renew your commitment of universal access by 2010. To not do so would mean to condemn many people living with HIV, like myself, to unnecessary pain, suffering, and even death. I will honor my commitment